Welcome to Device Squad, the podcast for the mobile enterprise from Propellix. We're going to be doing things a little differently today. We're going to be bringing you some behind-the-scenes chatter from the recent ET6 Exchange, formerly the M6 Mobility Exchange. And these notes are being brought to you courtesy of mobile strategist Glenn Gruber. So a little background on ET6. Now in its 7th year, ET6 Exchange is the longest running hosted enterprise mobility and digital transformation conference focused exclusively on bringing an intimate end user audience together with industry experts and solution providers to discuss strategy, policy, solutions, and security. ET6 is the perfect platform to help build an intelligent digital enterprise. So ET6 this year ran May 21st to 23rd in Chandler, Arizona, and the conference is chaired by Maribel Lopez of Lopez Research. This chat features a few different voices: Melanie Seekins from Altria, Roman Dumiak from Allstate, Maribel Lopez, Lopez Research, Adam Bookman, Propellix partner, Rob Hager at Bain, and Kevin Fager from TD Bank. My apologies for the poor sound quality, but some of the content here is really interesting, so thought it would be nice to get this out to you guys.
Device Squad, fighting crimes against enterprise mobility worldwide. Bad UI, frustrating user experiences, poorly conceived mobile strategies, we defeat them all. This podcast series will cover all aspects of enterprise mobility, including strategy, development, design, testing, and more. My name is Steve Brickman. I'm a mobile strategist and UX architect with Propellix. First, a brief history of the company. Founded in 2011, Propellix is a mobile strategy consultancy helping enterprises worldwide devise true mobile strategies and develop world-class mobile applications across all industry verticals. Propellix clients include large companies like Amway, Bright Horizons, Bank of Montreal, Dubai Airports, Family Dollar, DLL, Cintas, Merck, and many more. Propellix menu of services includes 8 different mobile kickstarts covering everything from mobile strategy and road mapping to MCOE to UI UX design to mobile testing strategy, along with soup to nuts app design development and support. Additionally, Propellix offers 3 homegrown enterprise mobile products.
She did it with a reporter, actually, and she talked about the fact that
studying how disconnected we really are.
We leave our phones on the table in front of us in a conversation, and that automatically turns the conversation that we are all having. Because no longer are we going to be very personable. What's going to happen is the conversation is going to be a very light conversation. It's not going to get very deep because these are a distraction. Even though we're not touching them, they're out in front of everybody else, and everybody knows that at any point in time, you could be talking to me and I'm going to do this. Whether it's important or not. So this on the table changes the conversation.
You know, you didn't give us enough time to ask questions at the talk you did. I was hoping that some of the other advisory services, we're getting marketing data that says that consumers who are watching television, for example, that as many as 60% of them have a device in their hands while they're watching. Have a device in their hands. So now we're all trying to figure out, how do I leverage that so that I can be interactive?
Watch TV. We're either on a tablet or mobile phone while they're watching TV.
But they're not necessarily interacting with the TV on their phone. They might be doing something else.
No, you're doing something else. And the TV
if you're selling to a consumer, I mean, you've got them right there. Right. You know, they got the machine right there to talk to you. So how do you engage them enough or in some way so that you can go ahead and take advantage of it?
Therein lies the question, right? You know, what content are you going to give them on that device? interest them, right? Enough. Because actually TV is kind of passive for a lot of people. They're not really engaged in what they're watching. It's just sort of, for some people, it's background noise. Yeah.
Well, which is good because most of what's on sucks, but...
Yeah, well, there's that too, right?
Well, anymore, when you talk to most people, and we're one of those strange people, we don't actually have a TV in our bedroom.
We don't either.
And that is the first question. It's like, why? I don't understand. How can you go to bed without a TV in your room? It's like, how can you go to bed with a TV in your room?
Exactly.
The noise, the light, everything.
It's the way a lot of kids in college get used to multiple sources, and they just keep going.
Well, it's not even kids in college. I think we do it with our kids when they're small. Because when we go to put them to bed, we don't put them to bed with soothing music anymore. The first thing we do is
Baby Mozart.
Right. The first thing we do is we put a TV in their room, and then we pop in a DVD in, and we entertain them when they should be asleep. So then we wonder why our kids aren't getting a restful night, why they're more distracted in school, and causing all these other problems. And it really just comes down to we are so disconnected and so distracted, even by our own selves, that to sit here, could you put your phone down and let it sit there in front of you for 15 minutes without touching it?
Yes.
It's because you're old people.
Yeah, well, there's that too. There is that. Has everybody met each other? Speaking of disconnected, does everybody know everybody?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right. We're gonna do this really dorky round robin thing of who you are and what you do. Glenn.
So my name is Glenn Gruber. I'm a mobile strategist at Propellix, and I co-chair the ETC with Maribel.
Frequently with a cute little cat in the background, stepping on his keyboard.
That is true. Peanut, in case you're curious who it is.
Peanut the cat.
Yeah.
Peanut Gruber.
Yeah, because Zoom automatically puts your video on.
Yes.
There have been many a time that I've seen Glenn's cat sort of hanging about, but he shouldn't have been there. So I know
Usually
these things.
it's tail in the face kind of thing.
All right, that's Glenn. He's the voice of ETC.
I'm Todd Chuslin, also with Propellix, and a mobile strategist. Don't have a cat.
Do you have any pets?
So, do have 2 dogs.
All right.
So I'm Roman Dumac, and I'm not with Propellix. I'm with Allstate Insurance, and I'm the Director of Technology. So the short version is I'm the Shadow IT with a capital S.
I like that. I like it. Being your own Shadow IT.
Rob Hager, Bain & Company. I try to do as little as possible, but
Nice.
outside of that,
Even
mobile
better.
engineer and architect.
You're what
Mobile
now?
engineer and architect.
Got it.
Harvey Gimby, CIO of Health Network Labs. We're a healthcare provider in Pennsylvania, New Jersey market.
This is a website.
Yeah.
Manish?
Yeah, hi, I'm Manish. I work for our network. It's a pharmaceutical company which provides services, clinical trial services for phase 1 to phase 3. And my niche is basically data analytics, predictive, and supply chain. And I'm principal application developer.
Got it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Darren Rich, I'm a senior applications analyst for HCA Continental Division. We're based out of Denver. We've got about 9 hospitals and 3 surgical centers, along with some freestanding EDs in both the Denver and Wichita markets. And my main responsibility is to drive innovation, bring vendors into conversations with us to see how we can advance our patient experience as well as our surgical experiences and our other experiences with our physicians. So, that's basically me.
My turn. I'm Kevin Farragher from Toronto with TD Bank, and I head up an interesting little group in the Mobile for Everyone department where I manage our private app store.
Mobile for Everyone?
Mobile for Everyone is the name of my team. So we are deploying, building employee-facing apps. So I've worked in consumer-facing mobile banking for a decade, and now I've moved over to the enterprise. So, lots of interesting challenges. One of them is how do you secure apps for those non-BYOD employees, which we have about 60,000 of. So one of our big challenges there.
That's great. And did you just join the ETC?
About 2 months ago or something, when I first met Adam.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a Canadian thing.
I was going to say two Canadians together. We got to break you two up.
We use Aperion as our app distribution platform, so that's how I met Adam and Alex.
You guys use Aperion.
We do.
So I'm Adam Bookman. I'm one of the co-founders of Propelix. Help with strategy around setting up, figuring out what to do with mobile, and then how to do it from an IT perspective, and helping organizations mature around all the competencies that are necessary for to have a working mobile team and deliver apps for the business and do it securely. We used to have the Mobile Research Council, that's what these used to be called. We started around 3 years ago, probably 4 years ago, a while ago, with the Mobile Research Council, and then as needs have evolved, we decided that it's not just about mobile anymore, it's really about emerging technologies. So mobile's one component, but we have to talk about IoT and augmented reality and machine learning and all these things that kind of maybe mobile's a jumping off point for, but they're all important and we need to know about it as folks who are leading innovation. So hopefully you guys have liked that change, and we can talk about that more.
Denise Hancock, Ace Hardware, you may have heard of. I am Shared Services Manager. I had responsibility for mobile up until very recently, but I'm still in the innovation space, so I'm here more for some of the innovation technologies to learn more in those spaces, potentially do some pilots, bring some value to the business for new technology.
I'm Maribel Lopez. I'm trying to help companies figure out what's real and emerging technology and what isn't. And I also try to help vendors figure out how to talk about what they do, because sometimes they really can't tell you what they do. So it makes it hard for you to figure out if it's going to work for you. So that's me, and I work with Adam and Glenn on the ET6. So.
Melanie Seekins. I actually work for Altria. I also hand wrote on here my CMDSP. I'm actually the chair for a new mobile device credential. We were missing one in our field. We actually have nothing that says that we all in this room know how to do our jobs. So we created a credential for that. So that's been my part-time job. Altria, I started out as a mobility architect, put in a really awesome, robust system that we could really use, and then had no support for it. So they shuffled me over to operations to take over that mess and get everything built up from a process strategy. How do we now manage and maintain this behemoth that we put in? And that's what I've been doing. If you ever want to hear about CMDSP, just ask, please.
Yeah, so what's the acronym at least?
Credentialed Mobile Device Security Professional.
There you go. So you know how to secure your devices. There you go.
What makes a device credentialed? Just some kind of authentication.
Not a device credential. A person credential.
Oh, the person's credential.
Well,
I get you.
Yeah, in our field, we don't have any certifications. If you're in security, you have CISSP. You have, some other security credentials you can go out and get. If you're a network admin, you have the CCNA or the CCIE or whatever. We just have nothing in our field. CompTIA had created one. It was called Mobility Plus. However, it was so low level, and I say low level as in new. It talked about, hey, this is a wireless tower. Your phone is, connected to Wi-Fi. I mean, just very basic. Anybody can answer these questions. It was almost, yeah.
Oh my God. Could have got a raise.
Yeah. And they deprecated it. They're not selling the tests anymore. Credentials all run out in 2017. And for us, we're all about what everybody in this room does. How is it that our employers know what we do? There's nothing in the field that says, hey, you know how to create a mobile device strategy. You know how to create a BYOD strategy. You know how to set security controls to mitigate what NFC or Bluetooth or our Wi-Fi settings are. You understand the stack that is in a phone, right? What does the software layer look like in an iPhone? What does the software layer look like in an Android? We may know those questions, a lot of us do, because it's our job. But there was nothing out there for our employers to go, do you really know that? They just take our word for it. So that's why this exists. So we're encouraging people to check us out and take a look and see if it's something that you want to do.
So I wanted to hear about the other comment you made. So you created an app and now you have to live with it. So why do you refer to it as a behemoth? I believe that was one.
Yes.
I don't think you were complimentary about it.
In our field, we all take for granted the fact that we have put in all these robust mobility systems, right? We put in MDM, we manage those devices, we lock them down so our enterprises are secure. Yet, if you're doing this as a consulting job, you know that you walk in the door, you put this in, and your employer looks at it and goes, great.
Consultants get away with it, they leave.
Right, they leave. But, right. So what ends up usually what happens in all of these gigs is that we walk in, we put in this really great system because the company feels that they need something to replace their BlackBerry system, right? So we put in Mobile Iron, we put in AirWatch, we put in Citrix, we put in something to manage those devices. They look at us and say, well, you did this, it's great. We don't need anything else. We don't need apps. Who does apps? We have a mobile device security platform, and that's it. That's all we need. But what they're starting to realize, and something we're hearing about a lot, when we talk about digital transformation, what is that? Digital transformation isn't just putting in a robust system. It's the journey. It's how do you take that robust system and then move it so that people are actually productive. And the companies are struggling with that. And what we're seeing too is that a lot of our CIOs and our CEOs are aging men and women. And they don't understand that a person coming out of college may prefer to work solely on a mobile device. They want to create content. They want to create documents. This is their only way of working. They would rather do this than pop open a laptop, get into it, and work that way. And what we're not doing is we're not stressing that enough. And so we have a lot of these young, frustrated people who come to our companies, and because someone in a higher level position has said, why would you want to create a document on an iPhone? It's not your choice. You don't have to do that. But why should we say that nobody else can either? You're scaling productivity. But as a part of that, we don't have the support staff. This is something that has really just kind of hit me in the head since I came over to operations to support this, is that we've been doing PCs for such a long time. We went through evolution after evolution. We know that patches come on Tuesday. We know that antivirus is this, and that this group policy gets applied. And we do these things in a very methodical way. Mobile, we don't. We put in a couple security controls and we hand you a device and you say, great, you're secure.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah. Really? But when it comes to support,
it's true for you as well.
What we did was we extended the role of the client computing services. Yeah. You're responsible for all the employee mobile stuff.
So you had PCs.
They had to grow a little bit. I get it.
That's very standard.
But most companies don't. They look at mobile as a standalone thing. It has no support structure. It has no staff. There is no process. There's no procedure. There's no updates. It kind of is a catch-all place. You put it in, and it's one system, and, well, it just operates. Well, that's not true.
I'd say it's opposite. There's lots of updates.
There's lots of
3-4 times a year, and we don't know how to handle it, right?
Exactly.
We don't have those day 2 processes ironed out because it's new.
Absolutely.
This is emerging technology. So.
Yeah. So as a part of that, we all have to create the staff.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And that's where I'm struggling.
I'm trying to figure out why it's such a struggle.
Because nobody wants to do it. They don't see any value in it until something happens.
Do you have employee? You've got company-owned PCs, right?
Yes.
Do you have company-owned phones?
Yes.
Right. It's the same. You're just extending the platform.
But it's not the same because I had Good before, and now I'm going to AirWatch. Good was just an app.
You had Good before.
And
we're talking to the CIO and CEO.
It doesn't matter. Because Good was an app.
Good or no?
All they say is Good was an app. That's all we did. So now that I have AirWatch and I'm using native email and I'm using all of these native functionality, No one knows how to support it. To the point where we're talking about sending people through Apple training to be well versed enough to help out our C-level executives with how to create a calendar. It's kind of ridiculous, but we just never did it before.
I guess I would argue you did do it before. Maybe you weren't there, but in the 1986 time frame, somebody put a workstation on your C-level executive's desktop, and they had the same problem. They wouldn't touch them.
Correct.
Go give it to my ad.
You're looking at it from you're just extending your responsibilities versus looking at it from a.
But nobody remembers. Nobody remembers how they got there.
Because it's like 20-year-old technology.
It is 20-year-old.
I hear you.
We've had processes for 20 years. I don't remember how we got there.
We got somebody. We lost somebody.
Eli will come back.
Yeah.
Well, most of those people are now retired and gone, and did their thing.
All right. So, what other challenges do we have going on in the space here?
Or what questions? I mean, the other thing I'll say is that Maribel was at SAP last week. Yeah, I was at I/O.
So the thing that I've learned in the past 2 weeks is there's the return of the mega vendor. So SAP, Oracle, all these guys are trying to come back with a we can give you everything. And an integrated, Dell did the same thing, an integrated suite approach. And, I see room for that. If you're already a customer of that company, they're basically saying, I'll make my stuff easier for you to buy together and work together. So that made perfect sense to me.
I give it to the SAP people.
There we go.
Give it to the Oracle.
Nobody wants to be pigeonholed into just one set of tools, especially on mobile.
Right.
And some of them are not that good.
Well, a lot of them aren't that good, but I think people are kind of struggling with, do I buy 50 things and integrate them?
Or not.
Or do I buy
or do I get a deal with the mega vendor that says, I may not need it today, but it's in the portfolio. If I need it tomorrow, I don't pay any more for it.
I imagine it's all through acquisition, right, that they're offering these services, and have they actually integrated them well? Half the time they're still operating those.
That's like a rhetorical question. Have they integrated them well? Because I've never seen it really happen for any product on any company.
Oracle is doing quite a good work in cloud services with respect to the financial management and ERPs. So the cloud services for financial ERP.
Well, you've got Oracle with the new business suite, right?
Yeah. So that particular applications are very powerful.
Those expos?
Okay. What should we be looking at from a technology standpoint? What are you guys struggling with right now? I always ask this question and nobody answers me, so since I can look at all of you, I'm hoping I'm going to get an answer this time.
Always as relates to doing actual UI design for voice perspective.
Yeah, that's a great, I think that's going to take a while.
It's not here now, but when you're talking about interest in technologies.
But we've got ETC members like AmerisourceBergen that has the Good Neighbor Pharmacy thing that they've been bringing up. A lot of people are trying to work on these conversational interfaces now for both consumer but also partners and employees. So I think it's a big field.
Right, which works as long as there's only the conversation is one question long. Yeah, it's extending that interaction.
It's going to be persistent. Reach a saturation point where it becomes it's the speakerphone hassle where everybody's got a voice interface and people are just tired of hearing everybody else talking on the phone.
Well,
it's cool. It's not allowed, but eventually you get too many people doing it.
That's a space issue thing too, right? So if you put it in the corporate environment and everybody's open space now, and people are just barking commands around to their Alexa-like thing, it could be weird.
Well, that's why the Google thing is cool. They've got
You were doing that in the cubes anyway.
recognition. So you don't have to switch profiles.
You must be working from home.
I do work, but I've worked in open spaces with lots of gophering, but
actually, if you're out there doing stuff, I'd really like you to take a look at the IoT where the price point for wearable everything that Fitbit does, which
Wear a Fitbit.
wear a Fitbit belt, and it's got a little panic button in the middle. And the price point has come down from like $1,000 to $150. So in 2 years, that belt will be
So
B2B or B2C?
for men,
You gotta hold up gas.
for men, it's valuable. Yeah, it's, my wife doesn't want to go.
Women work in some of the same traditional roles that you need a belt.
Okay.
Two things I'll suggest. One is your blockchain as a service.
Blockchain as a
That's
service.
coming up, and that will be emerging as a point. And then microservices. I know microservices was in use 2 years back, but it's picking up now again.
So like, okay, so we've already gone like well down the Docker container style thing. When you're thinking microservices, what question in microservices would you like to have answered? Because people are doing them, so the question is, do you want to know
How to not make mistakes. Microservices.
Well, that's actually a really good
there
point.
really is
Okay,
very
I can.
little out there in terms of best practices. And you can get some really smart people do some stupid things in microservices.
The Capital One gentleman is not here, right? Okay, he's here, but not here in this spot. He's actually been doing a lot with their company's been doing a lot with microservices, so we can talk about that. But that's actually a great
You can't talk
suggestion.
about the mistakes.
You can talk about
No, but I
best
can tell you there are
practices,
some.
though.
There are some significant mistakes.
What do you mean by microservice? Like, what's an example?
So an example would be how did you do that?
No, it's I don't know much about it, and it's picking up right now. It's a very resource intense service rather than your RESTful APIs or other APIs that interact with mobile services. But it takes very low resource.
So there's a couple ways you can frame microservices.
Machine learning?
No, so think about your app broken up into components and living in a container that would abstract it from the VM. Does that make sense?
I would.
All right, what do you call it?
I would say years ago there was a concept in development called service-oriented architecture.
Yeah, it's SOA for.
So it's very similar to SOA, but it cleans up some of the mistakes you can make with SOA.
It's very specifically focused on the service.
So the problem is people go into app devs will go into microservices. They'll jump right in without some architect helping to talk about domain-driven design. So if you're going in there and just saying microservice means small service, and you can mess yourself up pretty badly. So you need an architect to be able to do but you need an architect to really do domain-driven design. Figure out
Is it more about efficiency, man? Like
and then you have a unit of work that can be isolated out so that it can be put into the cloud by itself, maintained by itself, expand on its own, and retract on its own.
Like some people would call, and this is where, is it a microservice or is it a PaaS? Like a tax calculator that you could put into different apps. As an example.
Different channels
so it could be. I guess the way that I think about it is, I think about it as Lego pieces that you could assemble, right? So this Lego piece might do a inventory file, might be a Lego piece that you could use as a microservice. But it could be something that is way more basic than that.
That's the problem.
I thought it was
small, in which case you get too many.
approach from a design perspective. So instead of duplicating these services around identity management, in every single stack or application, you say, I'm going to do it here. Everything is going to use it here. Is that right?
So a good way to think of this is, let's say you're a telecom provider, right? And you've got all these things you do as a telco in terms of, I do billing, this service has this features, right? So instead of building that in a monolithic stack that if anything changes is kind of broken, you say, okay, I'm going to break these up in pieces and I'm going to maybe use the tax calculation for California could be used in multiple apps, right? or the I have a billing problem could be used in multiply, or click to call, another great example. You want click to call, or some of the Twilio stuff I think would be considered microservices.
Yeah, the omni-service.
So all this like messaging stuff, like you don't need to build. I call it like you don't need to build a mouse driver over and over and over again, right? So it's that kind of thing.
I think at TD we call it omni-channel architecture.
There you go. I talked to this really interesting guy that's putting sensors in shoes for Alzheimer's patients so you can track them. They're pretty inexpensive. Connectivity is easy. You just need to geofence a certain region. So there's lots of use cases like that that I've been talking to people about. Any other things? What are you guys struggling with?
You're really getting into emerging technologies. This is transhumanism. Embedding chips in your body.
Oh, they're doing that. The new wearable?
Germany.
Yeah,
New wearable. Actually, that'd be a great article title, The New Wearable.
Did you see that video where they're doing the prototype in Germany and they put a chip out there on the human and it's like no wallet, you don't need all credit card information. If you want to pay, just scan your hand.
Oh my
If you want to enter, scan your hand.
Maribel as a service is not something I'm down with. Just say it.
Maybe Darren.
It's like, that's rich too far,
Maybe Darren knows about it.
Based on the moon.
But the new pacemakers are really high on speed. So as soon as I hack in, I can make it stop and look up.
Well, you gotta worry about that. Truth be told.
Movies.
I want to have a piece.
Just don't go there. Just don't become pacemaker capable and you're good. Be healthy. And I know my drink here. You gotta go to the Southwest if you want a good margarita. Just saying.
You have to go to the Southwest if you want a good tequila.
Yeah. Or Texas. I get the fine margarita in Texas.
Yeah.
I guess that's technically the Southwest. I think of Texas as its own thing.
I will say, if you're gonna buy tequila, the house tequila in our Guadalajara office is Siete Leguas. It is super smooth, far better than anything that you buy like off the street. You can get it in the U.S., but it's really good.
Yeah.
Guadalajara office?
Nobody's giving me the Guadalajara detail. I'm just saying. Yeah. They've expanded. They're global, baby.
It may be worth doing business with us just to get some, tequila.
I think we have to go to the casino party.
To the casino. Oh, it's casino party time.
Yeah.
Right.
Before we all get in trouble.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Minnie.
Here you go, Mia.
Big money casino.
Thanks, Maribel.
So are we closing out then?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, I'll run it.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on this episode of Device Squad, the podcast for the mobile enterprise from Propellix. I hope some of that was helpful, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.